Heyo, you're listening to Edge Coach Quip, featuring our very own Edge coaches and community, dropping knowledge nuggets to fuel your day.
Hello, and welcome to episode 124 of Coach Quip. I am Coach Chris.
And I'm Coach Robin.
And today we are talking about routines.
That sounds daunting.
A little bit daunting, but also doesn't it sound like... I guess daunting is a good word. I was like, wait, doesn't it sound easy? But I think, so we're at the top of the year, we're doing this as a January episode, and a lot of people make resolutions, or feel, even if they don't make resolutions,
they feel pressure.
So much pressure, so much pressure. I felt it myself this year, pressure to, do the reflection, to do the goal setting, and quite honestly, it's not that the holidays snuck up on me necessarily, but I felt like I just didn't have the time to do it. So I'm also in this part of the beginning of the year where I feel like I'm floundering a little bit of trying to set goals and trying to reflect and trying to establish, what I want my 2024 to look like. And that can be a lot of pressure. So today we're going to try to break it down for you. We've done many episodes in the past about habits, about goals, and we're just taking a little bit of a different spin on this. So I think we should probably start with what are routines, right? I think we have routines, you have habits, you have rituals. All of these things can be very similar. They're very closely related. Let's start off with habits, right?
I love a habit.
Love a habit. Habit stacking. We've talked about atomic habits. We've done a lot of the touching on habits.
If you have not signed up for the James Clear newsletter, please just Google it. You'll find it. Sign up for it. You get one every Thursday. Hands down the best email I get every week.
Yeah, I'm going to get this guy to follow you because you are
I love
a big fan. So habits are the things that you do automatically. Like a habit could be waking up and checking your email right away. And that's not necessarily a good habit. I think when we think of habits, a lot of times we think of bad habits.
Yes.
But we can also have good habits. Habits are those automatic things like when I walk in my house, I throw my keys in a dish. That is a habit, and I know where to find them, and it's something that makes my life easier because I never have to look for my keys. So habits can be extremely helpful. You talk a lot about habit stacking, right? And that's going to incorporate into our episode a little bit later on because that's a version of a routine.
Yep, it is.
So habits are a part of routines. Routine is just a series of habits or actions that you do to make your life easier, again, to make things a little more efficient. And it's sort of, it's just a sequence of activities. So a good example of this might be like a morning routine or an evening routine, your nighttime routine, or a routine for work that you have. So just those things that are already built in.
It's a sequence of actions that you do on repeat.
Exactly, yep. And then rituals. So the difference between like a habit and a routine and a ritual is kind of just mindset, right? So if we wake up in the morning before a long run and have breakfast and, wake up early, have breakfast, put our clothes on, do our morning routine for a run, that could be a routine, but it could also be a ritual if we're intentional about it. And I think about this as an athlete, like before basketball games, I had sort of a ritual of what I would do, what I would eat, how I would put my uniform on, even down to like the order in which I tied my shoes, right? Athletes are very specific about their rituals and routines.
I think they look forward to rituals too. I know like my morning ritual is my coffee is always made no matter what. If you're ever at my house in the first 5 minutes that I'm awake, just stay out of my way until I get downstairs and get the coffee, right? But I take my coffee and then I either go outside if it's nice or I go on the couch with the fireplace on and I have 5 minutes of just me and my coffee and the Wordle.
And the Wordle?
and that is, and sometimes it's 3 minutes. Like it depends on how, I'm usually pretty fast, but like it's one word, right? How long can it take? But that is something, again, mindset. It's the thing that I do to be ready to do other things, but I look forward to it and I know it gets me ready for my day.
Yeah, and do you feel like when you traveled, as an example, like you were traveling last week, did you maintain that routine or did you feel off if you missed it? Or?
No, I make sure to keep it. I had trouble accessing coffee. So I would steal coffee from the cafeteria the day before. Did I tell you this already?
You told me it was bad coffee.
Oh, it was terrible. But this is what I had, right? Yeah. So looking back, I should have BYOC'd, but that's fine. So I would keep it in the fridge and then the first thing I would get up, I would microwave it. Again, not ideal, but this is what I got. But then I had it within 2 minutes. I had it and it was hot. And then I could like sit on my little dorm bed and do my Wordle for the first 5 minutes. So I did still keep the routine.
Yeah, that's great. And
Or a ritual.
all right, so in this episode, we are going to talk about routines, about creating routines that can be effective for you and the benefits of having routines. Don't overthink this. We're going to break it down. Most of you have routines already, and we're going to talk about how those fit into your daily life. So join us for our bonus miles to dive into this. All right, welcome back for our bonus miles, talking about routines. And to kick us off, we're going to go through a couple of ways that routines can contribute to your personal development and your motivation as both an athlete and as a person. So to kick us off, consistency and stability. I think this is the foundation of routines, as it provides a framework, a sort of structure, and kind of predictability in your daily life, which is great. Like, so to your example, you were traveling and you were able to maintain that morning routine, which makes your life a lot less disrupted by travel.
Yeah, absolutely. I would have had anxiety in the morning too if I would have not figured out how the heck to have that.
Yeah, and so that's a great point. Having routines can reduce stress. It can reduce your anxiety because it is something familiar. It's something that is safe, that you know, and it, again, is a guardrails for your day. So when we have strong morning routines and strong evening routines to get us into sleep, to have that good morning routine, we can really set ourselves up for some just amazing days.
I love the quote that there is freedom in discipline. I mean, I'm not such a harsh person when it comes to having things perfect, but I do think, this is where, like, going to bed at a similar time and getting up at a similar time, there is beauty in that, because you're not stressed out about when do I go to bed or when do I get up, right? There is freedom in knowing what that routine looks like, so that you're not freaking out about it.
Yeah, it provides a sense of control. And I think in today's world, where so many things are out of our control in our waking hours, whether it's in the workplace or family things or just politics and being a human in this world right now, having a sense of control over what you can control is a key.
Yep, absolutely. Number 2, efficient time management. I mean, again, we don't need to be so rigid on this, but I think we all know, especially coming out of COVID, there were days that went by and I would blinked and it was 6 p.m. I'm like, what the hell happened today? Right? And stuff happened, but you don't know what. But a lot of that was because we had no time management, because our routines were just put in a blender and then poured out on the street, right? Mm-hmm. So following a routine really helps us optimize our, how we manage our time. And because we're allocating specific time slots for different activities, you can prioritize and ensure that you're dedicating sufficient time to important activities like self-care, or how much are you working, when are you taking some time off for some leisure activities, and all of that efficiency really contributes to being balanced and more fulfilled.
Oh, so important during particularly work from home time. If you're transitioning from sleep into work and you're still in your pajama bottoms, right, and throw on a top for Zoom, and you
feel like garbage.
You feel like garbage, yes, and it's very hard to be motivated for the rest of your day. But there's also not clear differentiation between home life and work life, and then as an independent contractor myself, when does my work day end? It could go on forever, and there's always work to be done. So having that clear mark and even an end of the workday routine to transition into being a real person in your house. I love blocking off calendars. And so adding just a chunk of time that's dedicated to either to a certain project or to my morning routine and my evening routine. I just started doing this where I'm trying to start my bedtime routine at 10 o'clock, be asleep by 11 so that I can be up by 7 and really block off that time. But I had to, reverse engineer that, back that out. And for me to have that strong nighttime routine makes it so that I have good sleep or better sleep. We go back to the sleep episode for more information about sleep. But and then that morning routine, if that's blocked off and that time is protected, if your Wordle time is protected and that's going to set you up for a good day, that's sacred time. So it can really help to compartmentalize and put those things on your calendar.
I'm going to take it one step further and talk about location when it comes to time management too.
Yeah.
So I will get very into working in one space, but then I will inappropriately try to use that space for other things. That's a big no-no for Mr. James Clear. So if you have a space that you like to read and decompress in, that is the space that you read and decompress in. If you want to be productive, get your butt into the office if that's where you like to be productive. And so that way, as soon as you enter the space, so you could put locations on your calendar stuff, right?
Yeah.
You know that you need to be for 2 hours in the office. Your brain is going to switch over to that work mindset because it's physically a different space.
Yeah, and that is again is the power of routines. When you do something repetitively, it becomes a lot easier because you don't have to think about it. This is the reason we advocate for not taking the laptop into bed, right?
Yeah.
That's a space for sleep, and so we want to make sure that that's a restful space, that you're not thinking about work when you're in the bed. So having those locations where you're doing certain things as part of your routine is super helpful.
So I'm renaming this section efficient time and space management.
I love it. We'll take it. Well, number 3 is that having routines builds healthy habits. And so, again, habits are a part of routines, and you're huge on the habit stacking. So finding ways that we can add in new habits as part of a routine. So you already have your coffee ritual in the morning, right? You drink a glass of water, you have your coffee. You have talked about adding that water in as a healthier habit, and then the coffee is kind of the reward. But it's all part of that morning routine for you, and it helps to set you up. Like, my morning routine has now become wake up, drink a glass of water, then I do yoga with my wife for 30 minutes.
Whoa,
then we do
that's very good.
Meditation for 10 minutes or 5 minutes, depending on the time that they have before work, and then journaling. And so, that's not a normal routine for me in the past, but it's something that I aspire to. So we've created this little routine around it and then blocked off and protected that time so that we can make that happen. And, it's been a week of doing this now consistently. And it feels great to have those guardrails up and to have those healthier habits, things that I've always wanted to do, but have built it now into this routine.
Yeah, I love that. I like that you have a built-in accountability partner in there too.
Exactly, yeah.
All right, number 4, I love this one, increase productivity. I do think that it's really important for us to think about working smarter, not necessarily harder. And this is where routines come into play. So establishing a routine, which again, is just a series of habits put together, you can enhance your productivity by minimizing decision fatigue, right? Mm-hmm. This is why CEOs wear a uniform, right? Like Steve Jobs is so famously remembered for his turtleneck because it literally was the same thing he wore every single day because it made it simple. So it freed up his brain space so that mundane decisions are already made. And because that then becomes this ingrained in your everyday life, you can conserve your mental energy and make more critical decisions. It's part of why I like wearing edge gear every day. I don't have to think. This is actually why I, as a kid, almost wanted a school uniform because it not only made everybody look the same, and so there was no anxiety about it, but it allowed everybody just kind of be the same, and then you could just be the nerdy self that you wanted to be at school, me. And it just overall allows for a more focused and productive mindset, right? If you're not freaking out about, the things that, might otherwise take up a bunch of bandwidth, you can have better outcomes on all aspects of your life.
Absolutely.
Do you lay out your clothes the night before?
I do.
Yeah.
Especially on my early mornings, of course.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah. But I like to do that decision at the end of the day as opposed to the morning. And maybe I'd look better if I did it in the morning, but I don't know.
No, you're smarter at night, just like everyone is. Not, when it's dark out before. No, you need to lay that out. Yeah.
Yeah, and also, despite having a ton of clothes, I tend to gravitate towards the things that are easy to grab or that are in rotation, sort of that uniform idea, just because I don't want to think about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So number 5 is enhanced motivation and goal achievement. If we're setting up routines and have the opportunity to create something that we look forward to, it can help us accomplish the tasks within that. So, this is part of the habit stacking. If we're habit stacking something that maybe we're less excited about doing, along with something that we really enjoy, and create this routine around it, we can get some of those healthier habits snuck in there. And then also it can be something that you look forward to doing. As you gain momentum from accomplishing that routine day after day, it can be something that you really are looking forward to and that helps you accomplish your goals.
Yeah, I love that positive kind of feedback, replay, all of the above. All right, so how the heck do we create these? We're going to take you through some step-by-step. Makes it super simple, super approachable. It doesn't need to be this huge, crazy overhaul, right? So we know that it can seem as you endeavor on it, can seem kind of challenging, but some recommendations to help you initiate and sustain new routines. Number 1, I love this one straight from James Clear. Start small. Start small, start small, start small. Begin with something small, something manageable, rather than trying to overhaul your entire day. So starting with something achievable that increases the likelihood of you being successful, builds confidence, is exciting to you, right? Something that when you do, you automatically feel good. And once the initial routine becomes a habit, you can start to level it up from there. But give it a second. Keep it simple.
Yeah, I love this. Thinking about, if my goal is to drink a gallon of water a day, which it actually is, I'm trying to increase my hydration. I know I'm behind on my water. So instead of thinking about that big goal, if I drink 20 ounces, by 9 o'clock, and feeling, that being a habit that I start to create, and pairing that with my morning routine is a great way to get that momentum going.
Yeah.
All right, next up is to identify clear goals. What are your goals and the purpose of creating a routine? So you need to know that first before you launch into this. You can have a variety of goals. It can be personal growth and development. It can be productivity. It could be for your fitness and health. It could be a ton of different things, but you have to be clear about what that purpose is so that you can actually be invested and motivated to accomplish that task.
And I think it makes it stickier too, right? If you realize what it's stacking toward, like what is it? Do you want to have more energy in the afternoons? Okay, well, that's why you're drinking your water by 9 a.m. It makes it that much more likely, not just to stick, but it just makes it more salient in front of mind.
Yeah, it's a difference between I should do this or I want to do this. I should do this or I get to do this. That mindset piece is so important.
All right, next up is establishing a trigger. Trigger doesn't mean a bad trigger, right? It means it's something that sets something off. So associate the new routine with an existing habit or specific trigger in your daily life. What are you automatically doing? If you want to start a morning exercise routine, how are you linking it to brushing your teeth or having a cup of coffee, right? Are you putting your Garmin by your coffee cup? Right? Or for me, the one I feel like I talk about all the time is I know that I need a little bit of PT for, my hips and my glutes. So I have a circular band in my bathroom that is by my toothbrush. My automatic toothbrush is a 2-minute cycle that buzzes every 30 seconds. So every single night before I brush my teeth, before I shower, my first bedtime routines, it is 2 minutes of hip work as I'm brushing my teeth. What else am I doing during those 2 minutes? Nothing. The trigger is the toothbrushing.
Yeah, and it's a great way to get it done. Next up, as we talked about, create a schedule. So schedule is the guardrail for you. It gives you a pocket of time to establish your routines and implement these habits. And it can just make it more consistent for you. And consistency is really the big piece of habit development. You need to continue to do it over time. And so having it blocked off on your calendar can really help give you a pocket of time before, in that period of time before it's actually a routine.
Yep, absolutely. Next up is accountability and support, which you're already doing with yours. So sharing your intentions with friends or family or colleagues who can offer support and encouragement. Also just putting it on the radar. This is what I'm trying to do. I used to do this when I was in corporate. I would want to go down and use my lunch hour instead at 3 p.m., 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. Because we had a gym downstairs, and I talked to our CEO about it, and he was like, go for it. And it worked, right? So then he knew I always took lunch, in my office, and then I could go down. And it's really honestly what set Edge up, because that's how I started getting into all of this craziness. Having someone as well to be accountable to, which is what you're doing so well with your wife, is really going to increase your motivation. And it's more likely that you're going to stick to it, right? Also, answering to someone other than ourselves is really, really powerful. And by sharing it, your objectives. I know that I wanted to do that 2-3 p.m. workout, and then all of a sudden a few other people got on it too. And then as a company, we just really didn't schedule meetings from 2 to 3 p.m. because a lot of people were downstairs, right? Instead, we would have working lunch meetings, which really helped establish that workout routine in the afternoon.
All right, next up, a great way to establish a routine is to track your progress. So whether you're using a journal and doing some sort of habit tracking, or marking it in your calendar online, or just ticking off the boxes on a piece of paper, any sort of way of doing this is great, but you want to make sure that you can see your progress over time. And that's sort of like writing your to-do list and scratching that off with your gigantic Sharpie marker, just throwing it all the way across. This is a great way. Yeah, you're gonna.
as you see my to-do list right here with things indeed scratched off. Yeah.
tracking your progress and your achievements, it's a visual representation of you making progress, and that's super motivating.
Yeah, and this is where think about like what excites you. Like for me, my daily to-do list, I love to scratch stuff off, but higher level, I still love my my step bets where I can make it go green. I mean, that's the 15 minutes of activity. That one's making it go green. And that's really exciting to me. I really get happy when I see the green check. Next up, be patient and flexible. So none of us are perfect. We don't need routines to be perfect. We know that having a routine takes time, and setbacks are part of the process. Again, why you start small, right? To guarantee kind of a more linear, stackable process. Be patient with yourself. Avoid having it perfect from the start. If you miss a day or encounter challenges, view that as opportunities to learn and adjust the routine, right? So like for me, if all of a sudden I'm showering at Edge instead of showering at home, yeah, I might miss a day, but I'm going to figure out where else I can, maybe I put it in my morning toothbrushing because that works better instead of my evening, right? I also really default to James Clear on this. His voice is forever in my head of like, miss one day, just don't miss two, right? Yeah. Figure out what you need to do, adjust to get it back on track, even if it's in a different way on that second day.
Yeah, and I think that bouncing back is such a win, right? When the momentum could go to we have fallen off of our routines, but when we get back on them, I think that's a victory.
Yep.
Which brings us to our last one here: celebrate your milestones. So all of those points along the way, like I think we all could do a better job of being better cheerleaders for ourselves. I think we could give ourselves more grace and be a little bit more supportive of our own efforts, because so many of us, like even here, I hear people encourage friends, encourage community members in ways that they don't take the generosity and encourage themselves. And so celebrate those milestones. When you hit the end of a week and you've turned all those little boxes green, that is a win, and you are creating healthier habits and routines for your future.
And taking that one step further, I know that I am not super engaged on my own social media, but if you are so inclined sharing those wins, I don't think that it comes from a place of like, yay, yay me, but it's more like, hey, check out what I did, and you never know who you're going to inspire. Like, be the ripple, because there are more ripples to be had, but someone has to see you doing it first.
And I love seeing other people talk about the things that they did, because I love celebrating other people's wins, and I just know that encouragement can go a really long way. So definitely share what you're doing with other people.
All right. I love this. I kind of feel like I need to get cracking on my routines now.
Yeah, but don't feel pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. No pressure.
Start
small.
Start small, but we encourage you to find what healthy habits and routines you are looking forward to in 2024. If you have any that you want to share with us, please tag us on social media at Edge Athlete Lounge, Coach.Robin, and the Chris Mosier, and we'd love to see what you're up to.
All right. Routine away. Till next time.
Thanks for listening to Coach Quip. Original music performed by Mend. Follow us online on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Edge Athlete Lounge. Our podcast lives in the blog section of our website. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast, and you can check out the show notes for additional ways to contact us. Ready, set, onward we go.